seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Here we go. It's the Sunday Blether. Good morning. Far too early still for me. Do you know what I mean? They've got me doing breakfast bars at 8:30, Sunday Blethers at 11:30. I'll never catch on to all this morning stuff. Who came up with these ideas? Oh, aye. Wait a minute. Anyway, welcome aboard the Bhoycie bus. It is 11:37 a.m. and we are reflecting on another crucial 3 points for Celtic as they maintain their 9-point lead at the top of the table. I don't know if you've ever seen that Eddie interview, French Eddie. It was so good. Right. Top of the table. Jonathan loves that as well. But yeah, it was a massive day yesterday. We had PMP with Terry Robb. We found him, ladies and gentlemen. We found him.
I was getting a bit scared, man.
Me too, Reegan. I was worried right up to the start of the show. We hadn't seen him, and then there he appeared, black and blue instead of green and white.
I've not been to Stirling, Russell, but when I seen Terry's face, it put me right off going back.
I think Jonathan's busting, mate. That's what I think's happened. I just think he's not telling anyone. He's not admitting it. Anyway, we're going to do all that good stuff, and then I'm going to be coming to you guys for your opinion. I think everyone heard enough of mine yesterday, to be perfectly honest with you. So all that good stuff. Phil McGinley, what does it mean? It means subscribe, doesn't it? It means like. It means share. It means slate my hair. It means if you want to become a Bhoycie Bus member, absolutely optional. So many of you have, and we really do appreciate it because it keeps the wheels on the road and it keeps me allowed to keep this judge in the bottom right paid and happy. And trust me, he costs more than the solicitor's fees I'm used to. Right, Reegan, let's get into it, mate. So, Reegan Stevenson, Celtic 1-0 yesterday. It's tough at the top, mate, isn't it?
It's very tough, but I said I thought it was a kind of training game yesterday, Russell. I mean, Aberdeen, you may as well put the Bhoycie Bus B team playing Celtic yesterday. I mean, Aberdeen offered nothing. I just hope they offer much more on Tuesday night against Rangers, because I think the league could be done on Tuesday night if Aberdeen get a wee point or two or so, which would be fantastic. But in terms of the game yesterday, it was the same old story. I think I've watched that game about 500 times. I mean, Kyogo missed so many chances. Abada plays so well. Joe Hart does nothing. I think I've just watched that same game about 200 times. I mean, I don't know what Jack and Marcus has to do. So I mean, I'm sorry. I need to go on a little rant here because I think it's.
Oh, I like it.
I think to me it's a little bit of politics now, Russell, because I think it's because of the transfer. I think it's because of all this. I think Andrew's been known about this for a few months, and he's went right now it's come out in public. I need to make a statement and show Giakoumakis that I'm not messing around here, because for Giakoumakis to come on the park 72 minutes when Celtic are drawing nothing each. Now you're only giving the guy 18 minutes to get possibly one goal, and how can Kyogo legislate for missing 8 chances and still play? I think somebody's made a good point on Twitter yesterday. I think Kyogo's over there to do that wee dance at the end, Russell. I mean,
you've been hanging about with the judge too long. I'm telling you, Reegan, that was
sorry.
straight out of his copybook.
Sorry, Russell, I mean, I really don't know. I'm starting to get frustrated. I mean, I was listening to Terry last night, and I think Terry's the exact same, because I mean, I just wouldn't trust Kyogo in front of an open goal. I mean, it's getting to the stage where I want to see Giakoumakis playing on Wednesday night because he deserves a chance.
But this is the interesting thing, though, Reegan. For me, again, I know Livingston are renowned for being a physical team. I don't actually subscribe to that argument as much. I think Martindale's done, don't say his name on the bus, but I think he has done a very good job there. I think they play a bit more football. But for me, I look at the 2 home games and I look at yesterday, and I would have had it the other way around. Even if Kyogo's your favourite, I would have played Giakoumakis yesterday and thought Celtic Park, all those big spaces to run into, that would be better suited for Kyogo. Yeah, again, it'll be, I think you're right, I think Giakoumakis will start one of the games, not look as effective, and it almost builds up this argument that he's a diddy. And I also, I'll come at you, Mark, because, it's always great to get your insight, mate. And the one thing we've got to say is there politics at play right now? Is there more to it for Giakoumakis not to be getting, for example, okay, it was a 50-50 yesterday for Ange who starts. That's fine. And it's his gift to choose who he wants. We all know that. But to leave it as long to bring on Giakoumakis, and it was glaringly obvious to most people that that's who you needed on to convert the chances. That ball must have crossed in front of goal, mate. Rolled in the 6-yard box across the goal 3-4 times. And you think, well, I know who buries every single one of them. Do you know what I mean? That's what he is there to do. So why are we playing a style of football for Giakoumakis, but he's sitting behind you on the bench and it takes so long to bring him on? Has Reegan got a point there about the, has Ange maybe went, there's stuff I don't like about this going on in the background, and maybe make more sense to me, because on a footballing wise, Mark, I don't get it.
I think you'd be naive to think that there's no politics in football. I think human nature is politics, you know what I mean? And I think when Ange, I must admit, when I seen a bit of body language, Giakoumakis getting off the team bus yesterday, and to me, it's the first time I've looked at the guy and kind of I've backed the papers when they're saying there's something not right there. I think he is edging for a move now. I actually said last week on the show that I didn't think that was the case, but when I seen his body language yesterday, I think there's been discussions further to what we've known about. I think there was a point in the commentary that I think it was Andy Walker says, we've got about 5 minutes or so to the hour mark. We'll see Ange making these changes then. And they go to the 72nd minute. And the 3 subs they brought on, I thought the 3 subs, I thought Giakoumakis coming on was the right sub at the wrong time, but the 2 subs they brought on, Jota was just getting right into the game, and they brought him off to put on James Forrest, who did play a part in the goal, although I do think I could have played the exact same part. But I'll go to James Forrest. I'm sorry, I wouldn't a touch of sublime skill. The ball just kicked just half his boot and went backwards. You know what I mean? They didn't actually do it and fancy. But in the last minute, he ran the ball down pretty well and killed the game off. But I think I'll change Forrest's stats. I'll go to that later on. We'll talk about him. I'm pretty sure about his 100 goals, 100 assists. I want to mention how good he's been for Celtic, but I just thought the subs yesterday were pretty poor. I think the game. I've had discussions about Ange's in-game management a good few times on here. I think his in-game management is very poor. I think he's got a very, very meticulous way of playing football, and it's a very good way of playing football. but his substitutions, his times and substitutions, and the amount of players he brings on, more often than not, leave you scratching your head. We've got big game players at Celtic. Your Jackie Marcus, your Abada pops up, Kyogo's popped up with the odd late goal as well. That's a lot to do the individual brilliance rather than things just working for you. I thought Aberdeen yesterday that was the worst I've ever seen Aberdeen play against Celtic. We had 81% of the ball. They were in your half twice, and they looked like they've done something twice. You know what I mean? And I actually seen on the telly that they were on their best scoring record since Alex Ferguson.
Yes.
I mean, and we were on our best scoring record since Jock Stein, and it was a 1-0 fucking victory. I didn't see that one coming.
No.
But yesterday,
That's incredible, Mark. That's
I
incredible.
that after just saying that's what Champions Day. That's why we are champions. But I will say is, it only takes, no matter if you're 9 points, 7 points, 4 points, only takes one draw or one defeat, and there's 3 more derby matches to go. So I'm kind of holding off with my button and my balloons and my fucking champagne just yet. I think there's a long way to go in this title.
Judge, I can't imagine you celebrating with balloons and bunting, but it's quite good to get that insight. That's how you celebrate a title win. That's quite the image. So, Phil, I think, that's only joking, by the way. I think, though, Phil, yesterday, I want your take on this. I've changed my tune a bit, Phil, on the Champions League. Now, I was very binary in my argument, and David Ferguson's already done the hashtag in the live chat. Points, not plaudits, right? And that was very much, let's be honest, that was pretty much my mantra. I was a wee bit like, I think the Champions League thing was a bit of a failure, yada, yada. I don't care. Show me a defeat, I'll show you a loser. That was kind of my mindset. And I think yesterday, in a bizarre way, has managed to make me look at our Champions League campaign more favourably. Now, I don't know if that's me being recency bias and just because Aberdeen pissed me off yesterday because they were so shite, but I'm coming round to this sort of theory that, do you know what? It is so much more palatable to know you lost a game, having a go, playing football, trying. Aberdeen went into this game with 9 wins from the last 10 at Pittodrie, 3rd place in the league title. Mark's just thrown a great stat on a best goal scoring record since Alex Ferguson days. What the hell is all that about? I don't ever want to see that happening again. And I know I can't have it both ways because the Barcelona game under Neil Lennon, don't get me wrong, that percentage of possession has went down and down and down as the years have went on. Don't fall for all that baloney. Do you know what I mean? But that being said, I am now maybe turning my head a wee bit into there is ways to get beat. I think the Aberdeen fans showed that yesterday, Phil, with the reaction at the end of the game. I don't know if you've heard any of the BBC. I listen to both BBC Sports Sound. I listen to the Clyde pod as well because as much as I love all the Celtic ones, you're seeing everything from a Celtic stance. I wanted to hear what other folk were saying. And Willie Miller, I don't think there's anyone better qualified, right? Let's be quite clear on this. There's no one better qualified to it, and he was savage in what he thought of the game. Absolutely savage. And I just think that it did actually turn my opinion listening to him. I thought, we were never saying anything like that when, we were getting beat in the Champions League. And I appreciate the gulf was very big for Celtic against these teams. And Aberdeen's gulf to Celtic in terms of spending power is pretty large as well. But just, do you look at that and go, there is ways to lose sometimes, maybe?
It's a strange one for Aberdeen yesterday because I think as well at full time when they were showing you the league table, I think Ailey Barber said something about due to the other games being called off today, Aberdeen were going to remain third anyway. So technically, going into that game, Aberdeen really did have nothing to lose. Everyone talks about when Celtic or Rangers play any of these teams, it's seen as a free hit to them. So it's like, it's not a game that you're expected to win or get points in, but so why not just go for it in some capacity, especially on your own park? I can maybe get it when they come through to Glasgow. They might try and just batten down the hatches, but on your own park, in front of your own fans or your own red seats, as we saw yesterday, it's like they didn't even try at all. And that's what the weird thing was. Like yesterday, when I watched PMP, I agreed with you, Russell. I actually quite enjoyed the one yesterday because we dominated it. We never felt in any danger, and when we got that late goal, I just knew it was coming. I just felt like it's coming. This whole mantra about we never stop. It's not just patter that Ange threw out there at the start because it was a cool buzz to him. It genuinely is the case. We don't stop at all. But there were frustrations. Yeah, there was missed chances and that. There was just stuff we've seen quite a few times this season. The one thing that I found interesting was, once again, there were instances we were trying to pass it into the net. But of course, no coincidence, the goal came when somebody had a pop from outside the box.
Yep.
And it's like, we need to start doing more of that. We need to start peppering goalkeepers with shots at goal from outside the area. Because this extra pass yesterday, at times we were losing it in the final third because we're trying a bit too much. But see, Aberdeen were just giving it right back to us, and the cycle just repeated itself. But yeah, yesterday, finally, somebody took a bit of initiative to have a go from outside the area, and look at the result.
Well, Phil, I take that point, but I also think, 33 shots on goal. I think there was more variation in Celtic's play than just, don't get me wrong, the examples of the overpassing at times was driving me mental, right? There was no getting away from it. But in the first half, I remember counting, Greg Taylor having 2 shots outside the box. Jota, fantastic save for the keeper. Callum McGregor had a shot blocked for outside the box. In fact, I think he had a couple. They were trying that as well as doing the overpassing, because you can't accumulate that many efforts in goal. I just think it was more highlighted because I think the cutbacks, particularly in the second half, see when you see that ball going across the goal, Phil, that drives you mad, doesn't it?
It does. The one that skimmed off Kyogo's knee and that as well, right in front of goal. And there was a frustration from that point of view. But yeah, overall, I still felt comfortable during the entire game. I wasn't like ranting and raving, shouting at the screen or anything. I still felt in the back of my head, I was like, we're going to win this. We're going to be all right in the end, and we were. But how many times can you get away with that? Because there will come a day where it won't come off for you. That's the worry. There is always that worry.
Can I just say, but I know I've not actually watched post-match because I was sleeping later last night actually. But see, but Reegan was saying, but Terry was saying about Kyogo. I genuinely believe that if there's an open goal, there's a 50-50 chance he'll miss that. I'm talking about knee goalie.
I quoted you last night. I quoted you last night, Mark. I gave you a wee quote and I said, you were laughing at the time, but I remember being on the show with you and you said, I think there was an example of something, and you went, but if that's Kyogo, I've got no faith that he would score that open goal, Bhoycie. And I remember you saying it at the time, and I thought, you'll get pelters for that. And then I think yesterday's miss was exactly what you were kind of forecasting, or
Yeah, it does all the time, boys. And I reckon there must be about 20 examples of that. And we've actually seen one where it was a cutback. It might have been a game that we drew. It was a cutback, and there was no goalkeeper and hit the ball by the post. The ball came back away, and he just carried his body through and went the same direction the ball came.
I think that was a whole game,
and you look at a picture of Kyogo, while he'll be dancing or he'll be receiving these horns, and they both could come for the same match. And I agree, I love Kyogo, but I must admit, I was a wee bit frustrated yesterday when they get pushed out to dance in front of the fans. I thought if anybody deserved a dancing moment, it was Callum McGregor. I mean, that guy's performance yesterday was top drawer. I mean, if you had a player cam on Sky 20 years ago, you'd get your money's worth. That was outstanding, that performance yesterday.
Well, Reegan, I want your take on that, because Mark's actually brought up a talking point that I wanted to discuss. I found the Kyogo stuff at the end very strange, because see the whole I was all for it because I thought it was a team unity thing, and I thought it was the team showing we're all in this together, and it was us and the fans together. Now the players kind of just walk, doing a wee bit of this, and then stop, and it's just Kyogo at the front of it as the fans still go daft doing it, which is fine. But I just wonder if there comes a bit of that, becomes a bit pantomime, Reegan. Do you know what I mean? It is that season.
I think it isn't. I think Ange said a good point just before the World Cup. He said, I wanted Kyogo to do that to make sure that he's got the confidence. So I don't know if it's a confidence thing to try and boost his confidence from the fans or something like that. But I would just rather he stop dancing and put the ball in the back of the net, Russell. I mean, I'm getting a little bit worried because I think all it takes is one bad injury from a Matt O'Reilly or a Jota, and then I'm not sure that Kyogo is. I don't think he's as productive as people like to make out Russell. Like a lot of people say, oh, he's a great goal scorer, he's this or that. But see if he was productive, Russell, he'd be scoring twice the amount of goals that he's scoring.
Mhm.
You know, and okay, like people like Alan McCoy, John Hartson will say, well, he's managing to get in that number 9 position and scoring goals, but he misses a lot of chances. And I think especially when you go to the top level and you're playing against Rangers and you're playing against in the Champions League and you're playing a game in the last minute and still need to win. I don't think it's Kyogo you want to have it with that one last chance.
No.
I think that's fair enough. No, I don't know. I totally take that on board.
See, one point I just want to make about Aberdeen, right? I quite enjoy the criticism they're getting because seeing Tuesday, they're going to be up for it now because all the criticism is going to be on them, and then they're going to be playing Rangers on Tuesday. So I think it works in their favour as well. The fact that they got beat 1-0 yesterday, but all that pressure from Jim Goodwin, from the Aberdeen fans, they booed them they booed them after 45 minutes, and then they booed them after 90. And then you've got all the media pressure from the pundits, like you said, BBC Scotland were complaining about them. And I think it just makes it an even more interesting game on Tuesday night now.
I don't know. I think they've shot themselves in the foot. I think they're now in a complete lose-lose situation. I think he's almost forced his hand now because of the manner of that. I mean, it's his own fault. It's his own doing.
That's what I mean.
But it's forced his hand to now play openly, which could be his downfall on Tuesday. You know, he might get scalped on Tuesday now, and it'll be the two different ways. And I think it's a lose-lose situation for Jim Goodwin. All of his own doing. Because he did not need to play like that. But again, their concerns are their concerns. As far as I'm concerned, we've slammed the door shut on Aberdeen. We'll see them again in a month or two, you know, or 2-3 months, whenever it is, and fuck them. Do you know what I mean? It's simple as that. But Mark, talking about the celebrations and pantomime season, I'm having a bit of fun with that. But one thing I did notice, I think, now the big man might be more interested in what he's having for his tea, but I'm going to use my favourite term. He is acutely aware of the loving for Mickey Beale right now. He's acutely aware that Mickey Beale is getting far, far better press than he ever got walking into the job at Celtic, despite a proper managerial career behind him, albeit I still think some of it I would debate all day. But is it superior to Mickey Beale's by tenfold? Of course it is, right? He never got this sort of, you know, Ange Postecoglou. You know, Mickey Beale's getting heralded as the Messiah. I think whilst Kyogo's dancing, we can call pantomime, we could call him Buttons for the next couple of weeks if you want. Is that his new nickname? We'll call him Buttons, Mark. Scoring buttons and all. Right, but I think Ange Postecoglou gave a wee bit away when he was reacting with the fans. I thought there was just a wee bit more of a glint in his eye. There was a wee bit more of the, come on then, sing my name. I think that was him. I think that's the way he goes. I'm fucking aiming this at every one of you bastards who are out there right now, heralding someone who's done fuck all as a manager when yous all gave me no chance. And I think there was a wee bit of defiance in what Ange was doing yesterday. There was a bit of motivation, and that win it was so sweet, I think, for him. 9 points clear. He's like, who's the daddy here? And I just think there was a wee bit yesterday with the fans at the end. It was just a bit extended, the period of time he was interacting with them. It was a bit extended, Mark. And I think that was that. See, when he said he doesn't pay attention to stuff, that was him showing that he does. He's not going to give it to pressers, to muppets in the media. He's going to give it to the fans. I like that.
I think, well, first of all, when fucking Ian Beale, I think John Kennedy's CV stacks up against him. He managed Celtic for 10 matches, and he's got a CV where he's won about 15, 20 trophies as an assistant, or at least somebody in the background. So
just call him the mastermind. That's it. That's you done.
I would call him something else, but no, I think that guy's came into Scottish football with all the plaudits in the world, but it's the same old piss you get when Rangers get a manager. I mean, they signed a guy for fucking Qatar. I think it was that Jose Mourinho fucking wannabe. What do you call him? I mean, they had that man saying that Real Madrid wanted him and all the fucking usual shite. But
he jetted in as well. Of course.
A lot of the stuff that's you see at the Celtic games is pantomime. I think Brendan Rodgers kind of started the Celtic. He felt that the Celtic players had to kind of go and thank the fans, and I agree with him. I think, to be honest with you, this is just my opinion. I think the Celtic players shouldn't be thanking the Green Brigade for every home match. They should be thanking the 55-year-old guy who's probably travelled 400 miles to go and watch them for the last 50 years.
Yep.
So, or the 65-year-old man, not just the Green Brigade, they tend to spend about 3 minutes at the Green Brigade and just walk by the Jock Stein in the North Stand. But that's another story.
That's a fair point, though.
I mean, I'll give you an example. I don't know if I mentioned it on the show. The bitter taste in my mouth when Neil Lennon changed for me the day that we won. I think it was League Number 1, League Number 2. When they walked by the full stadium and planted the league flag at the Green Brigade. The league title, left the title at the corner of the Green Brigade, so to say this is for yous. And I thought, this is for everybody, mate. This is for Celtic, a collective. It's not just about 300 boys with khaki jackets on. So that was just my opinion.
Hey!
And do you know something, mate? And, I felt it was a bit of sweet justice when the Green Brigade turned on them and put the flags up to get rid of them. I thought that was a bit ironic. But anyway, no, I did get this saying about Ange Postecoglou. I think he was over
Yes, I want your take on that.
A good 30-40 seconds longer than normal. Listen, anybody's ever watched anything about this guy is he wants to promote football as much as possible. He didn't get that in his own country. He felt like football was always a 4th or 5th rate sport, which it is in Australia. He's in a country and an environment where the fans just live and breathe it, and he loves that, and he loves giving the fans something to celebrate. And he's human nature. He's going to soak that in as well, and he's there and he's kissing the badge and fist pumping all the fans, and he's milking it. He's loving it, but he's also sending out messages. I think in his own wee way that he is keeping an eye on. I mean, we spoke about this.
That's what I think.
I don't think for a minute that. I think if you asked him in a presser what was the score with Rangers last week, he would tell you he didn't know, but he would probably tell you who scored, what minute they scored in, and how the goal was scored. And to be honest with you, I want a Celtic manager to know that for every opposition we're playing in the coming weeks. That's probably, I've mentioned Neil Lennon again, I think a lot of his downfall was keeping an eye on things that were behind him. And just on the start of the show, I've talked about Jackie Marcus and talking about some of the frustration things, but I think it's healthy in victory to focus on some of the things that you can do better.
Yeah.
I think when you're focusing on some of the things, you're celebrating the victory, well, you're taking it for what it is, but you're also realising that you're also focusing a wee bit, that things on the rosy, you're seeing that there is vulnerability within the team, and you just want us to act on it while the good is gone, you know what I mean, or while it's gone good.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the first half of the Rangers game the other day that I ended up watching. I was on the show the second half. And what I found is I have to play a lot of long balls, and Rangers couldn't handle it. That ball was getting trapped by the big striker, I don't know the boy's name, and I thought that'll play it in Aberdeen's hands because that striker was running ragged yesterday, that big boy for Aberdeen, but he was getting no joy. The long balls were getting tucked away easily by Starfelt and Carter Vickers. I think Rangers might struggle with that, especially doing Rangers left. That's something to keep an eye on Wednesday. I think that big guy will get a lot of joy against Rangers, to be honest. But no, Bhoycie, I think it was a wee message to the Celtic fans that he is keeping an eye on the bullshit that's getting written. Luckily for like us and anybody that watches Celtic live in this country, we're used to the media bumming them up. But you know something? It's just like a last-minute victory. It just makes it all that more sweeter when no matter who's against us, what tactics to use, it just makes the victory all that sweeter.
Well, that's it. Go on, Reegan.
I just want to jump in a bit, Ange, and I think it's bang on because, see, Ange makes it as if he knows nothing and he's laid back. But I'm telling you right now, Ange is so meticulous. Ange knows everything. And
fuck aye.
And he's acutely aware of the
That's a terror, you bastard. I copyrighted that last night. I copyrighted that last night again.
So he's acutely aware, Russell, that that Rangers game is 2 games away, and he knows as long as we get into this Rangers game with 9 points clear, and then he goes to Ibrox, and he knows 700 fans celebrating at Ibrox 12 points clear, that is a big possibility. a big possibility.
Yep.
So I'd just be saying, I think the Aberdeen game was probably the biggest test. And then you go to the 2 home games, you take 6 points, and then you can rest up and you can go to Rangers. Because don't forget as well, Russell, see that game for Rangers, that's do or die situation. Because
You're right.
he knows through that week, every bit of pressure, every phone in Glasgow in the West, every newspaper, journalist, everybody.
You know all about that, young man.
I'll be talking about will Rangers be able to overhaul the gap? It'll all be about Rangers, because if Celtic stay 9 points clear on that day, or if they extend it to 12, then I know you might as well put that blood inside Mark's house and get the champagne ready, because the title is coming home.
Oh, love it, Reegan. You're
I
the
think we'll
man,
get Easter
mate.
Road though. We'll get Easter Road in the 28th, I think, as well. To be fair.
They're hopeless. Phil, the thing is, see with the title race, title campaign, it's all about, I think, there's swings and roundabouts, there's narratives, and then there's the one crucial thing in all sport that is the invisible force. It's called momentum, right? Celtic dropped points yesterday, and the momentum shifts. Mickey Beale straight in the door, cuts the gap to 7. We beat them in January, it's down to 4, and that all starts hyping up. That hype train begins, and as I say, the invisible force that is momentum starts shifting to the other side. We gave him a wee chink of light to see that yesterday. They started imagining those wee theories there. Did you know that? Did you know that, Phil?
Oh.
They started imagining it, and right before your eyes, the old school got back together. I know you like these sort of wrestling terms, but the old school, mate. And it was the old school, the James Forrest, Cal McGregor combination, same as it ever was. They combined, boom. Now, let's talk about momentum in a Celtic way. 2 home games for us. 2 very winnable home games for us. Albeit Livingston, I think, provide a trickier challenge than what maybe their reputation or their name carries. I actually think they're a better team than they get credit for. However, St Johnstone and Livingston at home, you've been taking your next 2 games every day of the week. Any week we come on here and I said next 2 games are at home and they're against St Johnstone and Livingston, we'd all go, brilliant. They're away. Pittodrie and where's the Ross County?
Ross County Friday night.
This momentum shift I'm talking about, Phil, that could have been so different. Does Callum McGregor not do what he does yesterday? Now, suddenly, I think the fucking pressure is ramped back and it's over to you boys. Let's see what you're made of. Let's see the revolution in action, because the 2nd of January, TikTok. I'm ready for it, mate. And I'm telling you right now, they have to get maximum points. They have to. And that is 2 very, very tough tasks. Where's the one places you don't want to be going in the middle of the coldest December probably on fucking record? Do you know what I mean? Dingwall and Aberdeen.
Dingwall.
Do you know what I mean? Let's find out what they're made of, because the talking's been great. He's held his press conferences well, Mickey Beale. He's so fine. He blows my mind. But Phil, it's now time for the talk to go to one side. Celtic stepped up and walked the walk yesterday. The momentum shift I'm talking about, the narrative I'm talking about, it could be so different by the time we do the Sunday Blether next week.
Since the Michael Beale appointment, obviously there's been a lot of gusto in that and talking about all these different possibilities they came up with. But I said that to my dad. I mean, as long as we just keep doing our thing, then we'll be fine. And yesterday was a great example, because I find it interesting in the next 4 or 5 yesterday, and of course the 3 fixtures before we go to Ibrox, they're playing before us every single time. So they get a chance to technically cut the gap each time. It's weird how the fixture list has come out that way, isn't it? But no, again, I said to my dad when we were talking about the game at Ivor, says, see if we go into that game still 9 points at the very least in front, that'll have a real dent on their confidence, because I think they're pinning out their hopes on we're going to drop points in these 4 games before Ibrox. Pittodrie was a huge one, and we broke their heart on that one. They'll be looking at Easter Road next week. I mean, Hibs, I don't think they're great this season. I've never said that I rate that Lee Johnson at all. I know Hibs went to Ibrox and scored 2 nights, so they'll be thinking, maybe Hibs can cause them a wee upset next week at Easter Road. I don't think so. I know Rangers dropped points there early in the season, but can't see it. If we get through the next 2 games with the 6 points, then I think we'll continue that momentum. And also, when you're just talking about the hope and that kills them, one of my favourite things on days like yesterday is you'll get somebody on Twitter will post screen grabs because they've infiltrated follow.com, and there's always a thread where there'll be like one post after another, like, oh, come on, hold on, Aberdeen, come on, and then the goal goes in, and it's like, fuck's sake, man. Oh, I fucking knew that was going to happen. It's one of my favourite things to read, honestly. It gives me absolute joy because, yeah, you can tell their spirit's broken. They were banking on us dropping points yesterday at Pittodrie. And Captain Calmack stood up and said, nah, I know the day, boys, and broke all their hearts.
You're spot on, Phil. You're absolutely spot on. Reegan, it's the hope that kills you, mate, innit? It's the hope that kills you. And yesterday, there was a chink of light there, but you obviously know how the media work better. You're better qualified than any of us, you know, and there is narratives and momentum shifts that can happen in league title races and all that sort of carry on. And I think the headlines were lined up, you know, for Celtic to drop points yesterday. I think that would have been the dream scenario. Rangers come behind from the brink to get emphatic win at Ibrox as Celtic stutter at Pittodrie. And you can see it now. It's down to 7. It could be down to 4. None of that's happened, Reegan. None of that's happened. It's still -9 where I'm sitting right now, mate. And it is freezing cold for our rivals who go up north to the toughest, you know, the toughest environments to play football. Not the toughest opposition, but the toughest environments. And as you said earlier, it's do or die every game for them now between now and the end of the season. Not just the derby. It's do or die for them every game. Because as soon as that becomes a double-digit gap, they all concede. Every single one of them goes, no surrender, but they will surrender. Trust me, they will all know, Reegan. The game's a bogey.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the 2 games that they've got coming up, Aberdeen and Ross County, these are 2 games that they dropped points last season. They drew 2-2 Aberdeen and they drew 3-3 Ross County. So I think when you look at that, they know for a fact that they can't drop any more points. And if you're in Celtic's position, it's absolutely brilliant to be in. I mean, you're 9 points clear. You've got automatic Champions League qualification, possibly again. Then you're in millions in the bank, and you've got a really good team to watch. So there's no situation where Celtic can lose here. Celtic in a great position. I mean, I know Michael Beale's probably sitting with the popcorn at 85 minutes yesterday going, oh, this is great. And then he just gets brought back down to earth and he's sitting watching an episode of EastEnders, watching his brother Ian Beale, you know what I mean? And bring yourself back down to reality, Russell. So,
Reegan, you're on fire, mate.
I think it's interesting as well, Russell, that the whole media swing, right? Because you had Michael Beale coming in, and it's as if Michael Beale was going to be the saviour, right? As Phil was saying there, but he's still got Sakala and Kemar Roof and Morelos. All of these players let down the previous managers, you know. So it's not like Michael Beale's got this magic wand where everything's going to change right away. I mean, Alan McGregor still let in 2 goals and tonight. I mean, everybody thinks, Alan McGregor's a saviour. Alan McGregor's going to be 41 in a few months' time. I mean,
in January,
he's catching up with a few years. I mean, it's. I mean, it's. I don't know, but I just I think Celtic in a great position, and I think even Ange Postecoglou, I think he's acutely aware of what he's doing, and I think Russell as well, as we need to understand, right? Ange Postecoglou knows that he is in a great position here. So people keep telling me that Ange wants to, the first side Ange will be away, right? You know, I was thinking yesterday, see the end of the season, Ange will be 58 years of age. You know, I don't think at 58 you're really looking to do much else. You know, and I think.
Reegan, you're a wee bit young to be fucking throwing out anything about age, young man. I'm telling you, you're only as young as you feel, mate. We all still like you're 24 and could play for Celtic, mate. Trust me.
I think Ange is. I think he's aware of what he's in. See the point that Matt made earlier that Ange knows he's in a football culture he's in. But if Ange goes to say at Southampton. He's playing in front of a few pigeons at the Southampton Pier, and he's playing, he's not playing in front of 60,000 fans. He's not giving them Champions League football. He's not giving them satisfaction. I think as well, Ange knows, right? He's walking down the street, he's in a cafe, he's anywhere.
Hero.
Everybody loves the guy. You go to Southampton.
He likes that as well. Let's not mistake it. He's got an ego as well. Which there's nothing wrong with saying. There's nothing wrong with saying that he's got an ego. Do you know what I mean?
No. And like, see all this Ange DVD thing, right? Even though I don't like it, but you look back at the Australia thing as well, Russell. He's brought that out to show people that I'm a really good manager here. I know what I'm doing, and for Celtic to show faith in this guy. Well, they're definitely showing that they made the proper choice there.
Well, I like that, Reegan, what you're saying there, because Mark, he raises a good point. Ange ain't going to get this sort of loving and backing anywhere else, because managers are to a penny in the EPL. If you want to talk about Southamptons and that, it's you're on a 3-month rolling contract down there. In fact, a fucking 3-game rolling contract, you could say. Whereas Ange here has this sort of, he seems to have been able to have shifted the moods in terms of transfers so far, albeit we can debate that another time. But he seems to have had more, I think he's definitely had more autonomy on it than anyone else has, right? That is what I would say. He's had more power, because we know that by the J-League signings that, I think if Neil Lennon had suggested 5 players for the J-Leagues in 18 months, I think he'd have got maybe one of them at a push, and it'd have been a free transfer. So, with that, he's been given a bit more power. We've then cashed in on him with the Sydney Cup. We've tickled his balls a wee bit, if you like. And I think he's right now in a situation where he is maybe at 58, and I don't, it's not that old, Reegan. But I think he is in a place where he's king right now. And I think that's quite a good thing. I also think he's a bit of a football purist, Mark, where he knows, he values Celtic from the outside, not like we all do for a complete biased prism because we're in love, right? It's a terrible relationship we've all got. It's like an ex-bud you can't, you're in love with 1 minute, I can't live with her without you sort of thing, right? Whereas Ange just looked at it from a football perspective and went, this still has the values that I started loving football for. And when he's there, he's adored by the fans. He's there as well in a position, I think, he's bought in a wee bit to the, wait the fuck it now, these boys don't like us in this country, do they? I think there is a bit of him there that thinks like that. And I also feel right now, he's only midway through his project, and his project has grander sights than just finishing above the Rangers.
I agree with all that to a certain degree, mate. I really do. I mean, I just don't think whether you're Jim McGrory or Henrik Larsson, I think if somebody offers you £21 million for 3 years, you go.
That's fair. Of course.
I know it's going to break a few people's hearts, but he's 58, so I think that's not an old man, Reegan. To be honest with you, mate. I mean, the guy in his 50s is still a young boy, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I think his life's not finished yet, but I think he's probably on.
His life is finished, Mark.
No. I mean, I don't think he's retiring just yet. I mean, I think he's maybe got another 10 years in him. Maybe I think football managers go to that age. You know what I mean? So he's probably got another contract or 2 if he wants one. But I think, excuse me, I think all that pulls into insignificance, mate. I think he likes football to be played a certain way. I think he likes the culture of the club, the ethos of the club. Plus, he likes being the man who's up against it. I think his character probably likes to be the guy who's fighting three battles at one time. You know? I think he likes that. But see, it's not palatable for some people to understand, to accept. But we lost Kieran Tierney, this guy who was born by Jesus Christ to be the second coming of him, to be the Celtic fan on the pitch, as some people want you to believe. See, the minute somebody offered him £80,000 a week, he was posting videos of Jerry Simmons saying this is the rest of your life, quotes for his song. You know what I mean? I've got to be honest with you, there's not a player that's played football since or now that doesn't go if you're going to be offering him like a £8 million a year contract that you get.
Henrik Larsson.
think Lars was worth £50,000 a week at Celtic. The highest paid player in the world was
40,
50,000.
45, and he was offered Juventus and Manchester United. And he turned
No,
them
listen,
both
boys,
down at 29 years old.
He has the highest paid player in Europe at the time was on £70,000 a week, and he was on 45 to 50 at Celtic. It's a lot of money, right? It's a lot of money, a lot of money, right? But if you're going for 18 grand a week to a Celtic manager to 290,
the jump's bigger. I get that.
And don't forget, Bhoycie, some people forget this.
18 grand to 290 is a stretch, though, man.
Aye.
Well, that's 290 grand a week.
Well, the Brighton manager was on seven. See, the Brighton manager that went to Chelsea, he was on 7.9 million a season at Brighton.
What's
right?
That? 80 grand? 80 grand. That's about a quarter of 290.
No. 20 grand a week. £1 million. Right? So, to be on 8 is actually about 160 grand, 160 or something. I'm not even sure. It's a lot of money though. But if you get offered a job in England, it's a couple $100 grand a week, Bhoycie. It's no 18 grand.
I'm just nitpicking with you.
Right, but
it's fun.
I don't think it's right to put that on his back either. I think it'd be unfair for us to expect a guy because he's been at Celtic Park for a year and a half to knock back fucking 150 grand a week. We'll say, right? And as I said before, he's got a wife and he's got a family. If he can say to his wife and says, look, I'm on £1 million a year at Celtic, they've offered me 8 million. I knocked it back because I like going to the Gallagher and getting a cup of coffee in the cafe and everybody likes me. Yeah. I don't think that's the case, mate. You've got to be realistic. And the guy's got a short career, probably. He's maybe only got 10 years left, as I say. So I just don't. I think all these. That's just the romantic side that we all want to think as football players. I think Henrik Larsson just knew when he stayed with Celtic for the other years because, in my opinion, he's good enough at 27, 28 to go to an Arsenal or a Chelsea, a Man U, a Man City. In my opinion, that's the good thing he was. And he would be getting 45 grand a week. His offer would be, what you on 45, right? Tell you what we'll do. We'll make you a mid-valued player. We'll give you 200 grand a week. And do you know something? That is major difference. That is like,
yeah, I get that.
You're changing your great grandchildren's future, not just your own. You know what I mean? And I think so. I don't think I agree with you at some points. I think footballing wise, Ange is at the right club, but if the money comes in, he's away in the first private jet. The same way that Rodgers used Celtic, but we use Rodgers too. The first chance they get to go away to a club who's going to offer them a bigger stage, more money. I think your wee idealistic things in life kind of take a back seat. Yeah,
I get that. But I also think when you live in the present, I think Phil Ange's in the right place right now. And I do take your point, Mark, right? But I would say right now, I think what happens when you're at Celtic, you get some folk who get it, if you like, right? And they thrive, Phil, on the fact that even though we're the top dog, there's still that underdog sort of vibe. We're the ones that aren't getting our way. And I think Ange, I think he works at his best with a chip on his shoulder. Mm-hmm. And I think he tries to even at times create chips on his shoulder with some of his media interviews. I don't know if you've seen that. Is it Gabriel Antianazzi or something? I think he does it for Clyde or PLZ. I think he must have pissed off Ange at one of the first ever press conferences. He must have pissed him off, Phil, at one of the first, because now every question he asks him, see all the quotes that you get for Ange, it's always a reply to that guy. And I think, have you noticed that? It's always to him, and I think he likes working with a chip under on his shoulder, not under his shoulder. Carrying a bit of like McCain's fucking home fry under his shoulder, do you know what I mean? But I think he likes a chip on his shoulder, frozen or homemade. But I do definitely think right now he's the guy in situ that I want whilst the loving goes on, the loving cup goes on at Rangers for Mickey Beale. I think right now that's almost. I think the manager change is almost triggered Ange all over again. I think that's what we were seeing at the end of the match. I think you were seeing the manager going, fucking yes, because that Gio was far too sound for my liking. He was far too nice. He wasn't pushing my buttons. Not that Mickey Beale's, he's called Mickey for fuck's sake, you know what I mean? Mickey Mouse. Let's be honest though. I don't think Gio pushed
Angie's buttons enough, because he came over really well, and he was extremely successful, as Angie's alluded to. He's going, I'd fucking kill for a European final. That's my dream for Celtic, is a European final. And holy fuck, they turned on him quick. But now he's seeing all this loving, all this buying for him. Andrew's like, that I didn't get. And I think Andrew's creating, in his own mind, that siege mentality. I think he works at his best when he's like this.
I think we're going to need to sound a certain Clarkson, Russell, because I've got to make a reference to somebody. Will I do the sound and you do the
yes, let's go.
Go.
I'll wake up on a Sunday.
There you go. Wake up, everybody. But yeah, did you not see when we talked during Bustalgia, the Martin Neal years, when he did his first press conference?
Good plug, Phil.
Did he sit down at his first press conference and remind the press that he's got a sort of long memory, doesn't forget things? I think Andrew's got a similar mentality because he will not have forgotten many things. I think he's got that vibe around him where if somebody has said something bad about him somewhere down the line, he will not let it go and he will remember it. He'll look back on when he came in to the manager job at Celtic and all the things that were said about him. And to his credit, all the interviews he did at the time, he kind of just took it on the chin and was like, I know you haven't heard of me, but I think deep down he was like, but watch what I do, watch me. And he's went on and proved how good he can be. And this thing with now Michael Beale coming in and getting all of this gusto and all this, he's amazing. And he's because originally before he came in with Gerrard, apparently Beale had studied under Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool and took a lot of his methods. And that's one of the reasons why Beale got a lot of praise, because it was his tactics that were basically being implemented because he learned it from Jurgen Klopp. So all that's coming round again. It's like a cycle. So he'll have seen all the reaction. And again, he'll have reinvigorated him. I think I said it on Thursday night or Friday night show when we were finishing off doing the preview. And we said Angelo have looked at that over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and took it on board and being like, I didn't get that type of treatment when I came in. My CV is a lot better than this guy. So much better. I'll show you what I can do, but he'll do it really quietly and very subtly. He won't go on, like certain managers that we've had in recent years who went to press conferences and been shouting and blaring and try to prove a point. Yes, that one. He won't do that. He'll just very subtly do it with a wee wry smile, like, I told you.
Aye, and it's the interaction with the fans that I really liked. But we will move on because the Sunday Blether is coming to an end. I do apologise that David Logue's not on. I think he was out last night. No, he told me he couldn't do this Sunday. Normally he goes through the sort of newspaper headlines and all that, which I would love to say I'm organised enough to do, but Reegan, I'm not. I've not got a clue how to do all that stuff. That's way ahead of me. But Reegan, what's your take on where we are right now? We're going into a crucial Christmas spell in the league. Then the transfer window opens. We've got 2 players in the door already. Mm-hmm. Based on the optimism we have with the fixtures ahead, right? We've looked at them. We've went 2 home games, then Hibs away. I think are a poor side in my opinion, albeit they looked electric at Ibrox for 40 minutes. But I generally don't. I don't even like the manager. I think he thinks he's better than Scottish football. What he's basing that on, I'll never know. In a month of Sundays, I'll never get that. But anyway, that's another conversation. But with the optimism, we look ahead to the rest of December's fixtures. Then a derby at the beginning of January. But by the time that derby arrives, 2 new players will be in the door. One we know is an Ange product because he's coming for the J League where Ange has operated. The other one's just played in the World Cup for Canada and has been signed, obviously, with a viewpoint that, Juranovic has played his last game for Celtic or is about to. How are we set up? How are we fixed for the second half of this season, Reegan, based on all that? And the 9-point gap at the top, by the way.
I think we're fixed top of the table and looking down the Rangers. So, I mean, we've got a great position to be in, but we're playing very well. Like you said, if you put all the names in a hat, you probably could have put 2 better home games to end the Christmas period on. And I think it just sets up Celtic very well because we've got the best squad, we've got the best manager, and the club's in a great place. I think the club's doing very well, and I think if you look back to 12 months' time, I think you'll look back and say Celtic's done very well because I think I just can't see anything getting in Celtic's way at the moment, Russell. I mean, you look at from Ange to the players, I think everybody just looks Celtic, and I think that's one of the big bonuses that we've got, because I think even under Rodgers there was always this kind of notion that Rodgers was always here, but he was always looking elsewhere. And then you had Neil Lennon, where people weren't really happy with him. Was he the cheap option? But I think now we've got Ange in, everybody's happy, everybody's on the same page. And like you said, Ange will be acutely aware, Russell, that everything's on the right track, and all we need to do is see out this year on a very positive note. Because as I said a few weeks ago, when McGregor got injured, Celtic were only, I think it was 1 point clear. Then we extended it to 9. So I think we're on a good track, and we've still got lots more to go.
Yeah, me too. I mean, Mark, it's not, and we all know with you, it's definitely not all rainbows and all that, mate. Do you know what I mean? And, sunny days. However, I think when you look at the optics, and we're just being completely honest here, there is a 9-point gap. I think we do have favourable fixtures going into the derby compared to theirs, especially. We do have 2 new signings ready to come in on January the 1st. Time will tell on their success, of course, but it's good to have business done early. It shows that there is progressive planning getting made at Celtic. We're being proactive, not reactive, as we've discussed many a time. Celtic overall right now are in, I think, a good place. I think there's a lot of things that piss me off, and they have done. Even I think the attitude towards tooling up Postecoglou for this year's Champions League will always be a bone of contention for me, particularly when the year-end accounts are released and you go, well, why didn't we push the boat a wee bit more? Why was it free transfers on the last day of the window and things like that? All that being said, all we can focus on now is the here and now and getting back to Europe's top table and maybe being a bit more aggressive in the January and the summer transfer window. But when you look at as I say, the 9-point gap at the top, the 3 fixtures going into the derby, the fact we've got 2 players coming in the window, the fact we're probably going to get a bloated fee for a player you won't lose any sleep over leaving. Everything's feeling pretty good right now.
Well, definitely. I mean, you're 9 points clear going into the Christmas period. You couldn't write that. You'd probably be greedy for asking for that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I think this time last year I was saying that if we could get to New Year's in touching distance for Rangers, I'd be happy. So fast forward 12 months and you're 9 points clear, that's phenomenal. I mean, the fixtures that we've got there, 2 home matches, like it's St Johnstone and Livingston, tricky as they can be. I'm expecting us to do what we normally do. Hibs is a hard one, but if we got the Ibrox knowing that it's more important for Rangers to get a victory than it is for us to get a victory, I mean, that's a good thing for Celtic. You know what I mean? They'll see that as their last opportunity, right? But it's a big opportunity for them, and probably one of their last opportunities to give us a bloody nose, you know what I mean, and get this season campaign. And I agree with what we said earlier on about the Bill. You can see that narrative almost starting straight away, because you be getting that, he's been in the door 2 minutes and they've already dropped points. They're shit scared days, but he managed to avoid that. And I think I seen Bob McBob, and I like Bob McBob. He's always quite respectful in the comments, and I like the guy. And he was saying like say, a victory at Ibrox for us would kill you, and I think it's quite the opposite. I think a victory for Celtic would kill them. You know what I mean? And I think, and not just that. I mean, their biggest victories, like 9 in a row. I mean, that literally killed them. And then in the 55, which we gave up on in October, they see that as some sort of way adjusted. It's saying that the 10 in a row killed us and all the rest of it. I mean, when you lost 10 in a row, you sacked your greatest ever manager, your greatest ever captain, your star striker, and 3-year midfield. You know what I mean? So that's how some teams cope with losing 9 in a row. Celtic done it a bit more classy. We just get rid of the people who really let us down. I'm looking forward to this week. I think when you've got 2 home matches before the Christmas period, that's good. Gives you a right good opportunity to get 6 points on the board. They've got 2 hard places, like Manny said, and one of the coldest winters in years. I mean, Dingwall won't be a nice place to go to any night now. I mean, when it's freezing, and nearly were patology for, especially for Rangers. So the potential's there for them to make an asset, and no, it's fucking look good for Celtic. Tap to bottom Celtic. I mean, the thing is as well, see if we did have a wee bit of a fuck up between now and the January window, but you've got the funds there to go out and strengthen. And not only that, we've got funds going to be coming in for Juranovic. I don't think that's the case at Rangers. You know, I mean, I think Celtic are in a fucking point situation just now. And we've set ourselves up to be dominant. And it's up to us to fucking stay that way.
Oh, I like it. I'm playing musical chairs, everyone there, by the way, as well. I had to get back to top left. I had to get back to top left, mate. I feel better up here. I was bottom left the other day, and it just, it felt weird. But, yes, Phil, I think as well, I've said this before, and I stand by it, whilst their wave of optimism is maybe justified because they wanted to change at management level, right? Fair enough, because we've all been in that position as fans where we feel a change should be made, and sometimes it doesn't get made early enough, in the case of Lenny. And I think they've made their change early enough, and that's the positive.
Yeah.
The negative is, though, based on what we've just been discussing there, if this narrative does change and it does go into Celtic's favour the way I think there's a very good chance it will, suddenly it starts becoming, wait now, he lost the league to Celtic having been in position for 23 out of those 38 games. The majority of the games, suddenly, it was a Mickey Beale production. And suddenly that makes this summer a lot trickier. But a lot trickier because, again, we're talking about narratives, momentum and things. That's the story completely shifted. And that's the negative light it could be seen at. And I think there's a strong chance of that happening.
It's at the moment, it's you're seeing a lot of fans. I mean, you can't tell at times if it's all a bit of bravado, a bit of, if they're kind of lying to themselves and putting on a brave face. But there does seem to be a contingent out there that believe that they're going to come back and turn this around and so forth. And if it does start going Pete Tong, which could very well do, what's going to happen is going to become we always knew we weren't going to win it this season. We'll build for next season. And then, of course, you've got this predicament about, well, what are you going to build it with? Like, financially, it seems like there's some serious issues. I saw a comment that came up earlier on, something that's been dusted over most of the season. Remember at the start of the year, their name was flagged up with a few other teams by UEFA, being watched with financial fair play for their behaviour last season. And that story seemed to not get any momentum here in Scotland. It was one of those ones that was like UEFA broke news, or European journalists were breaking the news that they were in amongst like PSG and a couple other teams. And conveniently this season, it looks like the money just isn't there. And the Champions League money that we were convinced they were going to go out and spend recklessly just disappeared.
All of us were.
Yeah,
can
you imagine a black hole? So
can you imagine the 90s, or even 90s actually, Tom, because that's my main era, but can you imagine back in the day we had access to all these foreign newspapers and all these articles that are bringing up the shit that's going on at Rangers? I mean, a lot of it wouldn't even buy as easy as it did. I mean, some of the shit you go, how the fuck did that happen? And just something just very quickly. The Gwen came in, it was called the French Revolution, and then it was the Dutch Revolution. It's always the media very, very, very quickly start on it's going to be an upward trajectory for the new manager. Whereas we brought in Ange Postecoglou, and he was getting asked questions. Are you entirely sure you know British football and sort of things like that? I mean, Neil Lennon was never patronised. Neil Lennon was never accepted. Ronnie Dyler was never accepted. Brendan Rodgers just you couldn't but respect that man. But any Dublin they bring in is just lauded as the best cunt they've ever seen. I mean, I'm going to tell you this. I actually rate this guy Bill, right? I have for a long time, right? And he might do a bad job, make a good job, right? But I think even if an Aberdeen had hired a manager who'd only ever managed like 18 games, I think there'd be question marks within their support about his ability to handle the top job. So the fact that, and just something, don't get me wrong, he's brought in the brown brogues, he's brought in the suits, he's called us them, he's ticked off 4 or 5. They've got a list. It's like, you've got to say we are the people, you've got to try and get them, you've got to do this, just back on the list. And I guarantee you there'll be a moment in the derby match where there'll be the camera will look at him and they'll be snarling at a Celtic player or something, and in his mind he'll just be ticked off another wee staunch marker on his book, and the Rangers fans love that. I mean, they gave Andy Halliday I mean, one of the worst football players I ever seen in my life. They gave him a contract about 3 times because he was a fucking staunch bastard. I mean, that cunt fucking... Who's the guy who played for Motherwell for big dumpling that nearly ended Kayab's career?
McCulloch.
He was shite. They gave him about 2 contracts in all because he was staunch. Once you go to Nacho Novo, the worst fucking striker they've had, but managed to score in 30 tap-ins. They gave him contracts because he was the only body in a Catholic village. Fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, Reegan, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I think we're in the position of power here now. Don't fall for all the bullshit that you see. Don't fall for all the hype. And there is a hype machine going on right now, Reegan. But genuinely speaking here, I think Celtic are in a position where we've been before, and it has came and bit us in the arse. But the only team that can beat Celtic this year, Reegan, is Celtic. Celtic can fuck Celtic, if that makes any sort of sense. You know what I mean? We're the only ones who could be the architects of our downfall. I just don't see it being any other way, considering where the league table lies right now, the momentum shift, the players in advance already joining. You know what I mean? The fixtures upcoming in December. I think that it's only Celtic that can beat Celtic, and obviously we did shows based on Peter Lowell's return, and maybe that could, upset the momentum shift that we've got right now. But that being said, I think everything's geared up for a very positive second half of the season, pal.
Yeah, I mean, the only time that Celtic got beat this year when they had a colour clash with St Mirren. Don't know if you guys remember. They played the 2 black strips in the same game.
Mm-hmm. The grey strip with that was a thing.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Well, I mean, I think it just goes back to the Aberdeen game yesterday. If Celtic don't take their chances, then they've got something else coming. But I think Celtic and Ange Postecoglou know also what's happening, and they know that we need to put the pedal down on the car, because we're going to go down there and we're going to win this title again. I'm pretty sure of it. I mean, I don't see any other reason, because I think Ange will know, right? Like, people are surprised that Alistair Johnson and Kobe Ashley are right in. That this is the way that every normal football club should work. You don't just turn up in January and go, let's just place a bingo card of who we want to come in and rush a boot. Like, these guys will know, like, they'll probably plan, say, September, and say, right, we're going to contact this guy on October the 15th. If we don't get a reply back within the next 2 weeks, then we'll move on to somebody else. Like, it's not like they just walk in and they go, right, well, I'm going to go to the Tesco Value and see who's available in January. They actually put there and plan and see what's happening. So I think everything in Celtic's garden is rosy, or so, as we had to end the show.
But is just quickly, you can see everything at Celtic just now, all the structure. I personally believe that Celtic's league sit last season was so successful was because of Ange. That's why I believe that we want to watch for Ange. I think the guy just... Now, if it was a tightrope, as Alex Ferguson proved, I mean, no one takes... Now, is Celtic's... I know the structure's good, the money in the bank, or rest it, but is Celtic's foundations, footballing-wise, as sound as what they look, the new, or is one man holding all that up?
Yeah,
that's something that I think about very regularly.
That's the problem for me, Mark, is that I hope that if Ange goes, everything just doesn't go to shit. That's the biggest problem for me, is that I don't know if Michael Nicholson is getting too many plaudits when is he really doing that much? Of course he's giving Ange what he wants, but it's okay for me. I could be the guy that's sitting there.
But if Ange is guiding you, you're going to look good, aren't you?
Yeah, it's bang on what you're saying there. Because that's one of the big problems, is that we just want to know that if Ange goes, we're not handing the job to Steve McManus after a Scottish League Cup final when he's having a shower. We want to know that something's went in to say, right, well, we're going to have the best possible candidate. We're not just going to have Steve McManus and maybe Daniel D because he's washing the he's washing the training kit at night. You know,
Mm.
we want to see a progression with the club. So every single year, Celtic are evolving as a club. Because
Yes.
as you said, Ange said when he did an open goal interview with Slaney and Cy Ferry, he said, "See, the first year Champions League, the first year I want to build, second year I want to challenge, and then third year we're going to go for it." So I think that's what Celtic need to do as a club, right? So obviously these traits that Ange is building, they're working right now. So what can we learn from Ange? So that once Ange goes, we're still carrying it on. It's not like we go, "Oh God, we had it so good with Ange," but what do we do now?
Phil, Reegan raised some good points there because it can't be a flash in the pan. Postecoglou's tenure here. It can't be,
Yep.
oh, that was the one-off wee spell that we had. Very much like the first 2 seasons under Brendan. It can't just be a flash in the pan moment like that and then you regress again. It's got to be Celtic going, well, what worked for us during that time? What worked for us? Why don't we continue that positivity, that attitude that is aggressive in the transfer market, if you want to call it that? What about trying to remember that when the times are good, what made them good? You know, not just what's affordable, what's easy to achieve. What's your minimum KPIs? Let's just tick those boxes and we all get our bonuses. That attitude has to shift big time, Phil. And I think Ange, very much like Reegan says, has been at the forefront of pushing Celtic on to be better. And yeah, he might be right about Nicholson. Maybe he's getting overdue credit because it could be easy to do your job if you just follow Ange's guidance. If Ange's going, listen to what I'm telling you and fucking do it, you'll come out shining as so ah. But you take him out of the equation, which inevitably could happen one day, and suddenly, are they going to revert to type? Or are they going to go, actually, we learnt a lot for the big man in his time here, and we're going to try and keep that going successively?
Aye, succession planning, that's what it is. We didn't learn, you know, there's a saying, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. So obviously we got scalded with what happened to Brendan Rodgers and so forth. Obviously he left at a stinking time and that caught the club off guard. Neil Lennon came in and did a job, but you had 3 months to get a plan in place for the summer to continue what Brendan Rodgers had built, and Celtic went and reverted to type, which is the fear. So if a day comes when Ange Postecoglou does move on, we need to have somebody who can continue that work and keep that structure in place, and we don't just appoint, you know, some Celtic man on a temporary basis. He wins a few games and go, you can have the job full time. Then we need to avoid that at all costs, because if you want to be a big club, you know, I'm just talking about what Reegan quoted there about his plan about, you know, I want to build the first season, then I want to, you know, start really pushing teams in the Champions League, and then in the third season go for it. Well, we need to start behaving like a big club, because that's what big clubs do. You want to make a serious go of it in the Champions League. You actually want to challenge these teams in these group stages. And of course, by the time, in a couple of years' time, it's going to be a completely different format, where you're going to have to play in a league of 36 teams and 10 fixtures in that. You don't know who you're going to be getting, and the way the computer's going to run. It's going to be even tougher in the Champions League in the next few years. Yeah. So we need to be we need to have a succession plan in place in the event that, you know, if he was to leave, we could continue that momentum on, because that's what big clubs do. They've always got a plan. They always do.
Yeah. And let's flip it, Mark, because obviously there's a few comments coming and go, what are we talking about him leaving for? He's only in the door, and I get all that. What we're saying is, I think let's flip it and go, okay, well, that succession planning we're talking about, let's ensure we keep this positive train going to make sure we retain Ange Postecoglou. That's the other side to it.
Well, we've seen this movie before. I mean,
that's the worry.
We're not in any way, shape, or form trying to find like wee avenues where we can make this a dark ending to the show. No, far from it. I mean, we've just spoken about how well placed we are to build into the future, and but I think you would be quite fucking naive to think that that Ange isn't the man holding all this together. I mean, we've already saw the succession plan was to extend the Lobel dynasty by bringing his son in. That's the succession plan. What we've mentioned now is, and it's just because the conversation's led us this way, is the steps we're taking to kind of make this a bit more future-proof? You know what I mean? Is it going to last longer? I mean, when Rodgers left for talks, we were in such a way we could dominate Scottish football by drafting 5-6 players. That is how far we are ahead. But all your management and all your backroom staff left one morning and left John Kennedy. That is literally the way football can turn, and that is how football can. I mentioned Alex Ferguson. They were like the dynasty of British football and European football at some stages. The minute he left, the guy who was controlling every aspect of that club, they just went, oh, what happens next? Who does what here? You know,
That's the way.
And I'm not suggesting that's going to happen, but and do you know something? See if Ange does go, it just the big if, and nobody's mentioning it, go. It's because he's became successful at Celtic, so it's a positive thing.
It's us talking him up.
And he'll hit so many targets that people will say, we can't ignore this man any longer. He's won trebles at Celtic, he's got them in the last 16 at Europe, yada, yada, yada. But we're just saying, look, where's the future plan here? Because as Reegan says, it can't be jumping down to the B team and or going to Fleetwood and bringing up Scotland. It can't be. There's that kind of nepotism at Celtic Park which will never go away. And as I just mentioned, when the future of the club in terms of like Dermot Desmond's dynasty and all that, it's already been future proofed in his way in his sense by the board staying the same for a long, long time. He's got Mark Lawwell running he's going to be running the club player model wise when Ange does go, because the guy's only the same age as me. He's got another 30 years left in him. I'm not saying he's going to be a Celtic for 30 years, but I'm just saying that's your future. Mark Lawwell's your future. Right? And we're asking what seeds are being sown just now, what tricks are we learning, and where are we going next should the worst happen. But the worst isn't going to happen. I'm just saying, what's the next road? That's all.
That's it. You're absolutely right. Now, before we go very quickly, Reegan, I know you've got your finger on the pulse, and Phil, you're wearing a certain jersey today. It is the strangest World Cup final date of all time. I'll put you on mute the new Matt while you clear your throat. It doesn't sound well. Yeah, it's a shame. I appreciate you coming on, by the way, because I can tell you're under the weather, mate. Nice one. But we will quickly focus on other events. The World Cup final is a big deal, Reegan, right? And any year there's a World Cup final, it is a big deal. The narrative being the Bhoycie bus word of the day has been narrative, and the stage is set. Messi versus Mbappe. Reegan, does everyone's dreams come true? I know Danny O'Malley is sitting in there waiting on this conversation. He is a Messi fanatic and a Bhoycie bus member, so he's a bit of a legend. But Reegan, do you see it being the dream come true, the fairy tale ending to an international career of Lionel Messi, or does Mbappe just show a credible dominance at World Cups that would eclipse, if he were to win 2 World Cups in a row, I think the 98 and 2002 domination of World Cups that the original Ronaldo showed?
I hope Messi does win his World Cup and it does get a little bit messy for France, but I just see that they've won the World Cup 4 years ago. They've got that experience, and also for Argentina point of view, Russell, they've won a lot of goals in this World Cup. They went into against Holland, they went into against Saudi Arabia, they went in one against Mexico. They got a safe penalty against Poland. So I just don't know if they'll be able to keep the back door closed. It's just a case of will Messi's talent shine through. I just want to mention as well, Russell, there's going to be one person involved in Scotland in a World Cup final. See, Alan McCoy is doing the final for STV, Russell.
I didn't know that. Phil, where do you stand on it? You obviously I've put your what is it to say, flags to the mast, something like that.
Nailed my colours to the mast.
Nailed your colours to the mast.
Yeah.
I'm terrible with those phrases. I don't know why I always go back in that road. I get them wrong every time. I mix them all up. But I take it you're looking for the fairy tale ending for Messi.
Fairy tale ending, definitely. But it's one of those games where I mean, I've not got a problem with France. I quite like the way they play. I think they've been the top team for a good few years now. Very exciting team to watch. But I think logically, my heart is telling me, I want Argentina to win. But in my head, I'm still like, France are still the favourites here. I don't think Argentina are great shakes at all. I think I've always said about Argentina, I always think they've always got great attacking options, but I always feel the rest of their team is always a bit, especially defence and goalie. They've already lost to Saudi Arabia in this World Cup. As Reegan rightly says, they have lost a lot of goals. A lot of stupid goals as well. They were cruising against Holland, and then in like stoppage time, they go and lose 2 goals. So I really hope that Messi, because he is the guy that is going to win it for them, realistically. If he turns up and can pull some magic out of the hat, then it's possible it can happen. But deep down, I'm still think France are probably still the favourites here. But I really hope that he gets the finish to his career that he deserves, because generational talent, probably the best in our lifetimes, really is. Because when I was born, I was 85. I was born, so I was too young for Maradona at his peak. Because that 86 World Cup, the only thing you've seen the goals from that one, where not the hand of God one, it's the one that a minute later, the feet of God goal, where he beats the whole England team on his own. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. And Messi is the closest thing to Maradona. When you
I thought his semi-final display, Phil. I thought that was just Messi. I think over the years, I've accused him of maybe feeling the pressure a wee bit much. I think actually being 35, don't you even start saying that's old, Reegan. I think him being 35 has actually allowed him this time round at the World Cup to. I think he's handling the pressure this time, and I feel that his semi-final display was he decided. I think I took that away. He's decided he's fucking winning this. And if he can play like that today, that's what we'll see. We'll put it to the judge. I've got a feeling his verdict might be he's not watching it. But do you think it will be the fairy tale ending for Messi? Do you think Mbappe, his class will just rise to the top of him celebrating for a second World Cup in a row, which would be, by the way, a surreal achievement?
Well, first of all, I pulled Argentina out of the sweepstake for 20 quid, so I've got 160 quid right now, so I'll be watching that. My brother texted me this morning about this. He was asking me, I think he's a right, Phil and Russell. I think, does one man beat France's creativity? But what I did see yesterday is there's a virus going about the French camp. And
I seen something like that.
Aye, and it was that. I gave him it. I tried to keep 160 quid.
You on the Coronas last night, son?
Oh, I know, mate. No, and so in my opinion, I think Messi, if there's one player that deserves a World Cup, it is Messi, because I think there's been a stick beaten against that guy's head for the last 15 years that he's not won the World Cup yet. And I don't know how one man can kind of make up for 10 players that are changing every couple of years and all the rest of it. I mean, I think it would put to bed any conversation with Messi and Ronaldo as well. So that would do me. I think Messi's a Celtic player, not a Rangers player. So I'm a Messi man. And I think Argentina are going to win it in extra time. They're going to win 2-1 extra time.
This is the best comment. Don't cry 4-3 Argentina.
Don't cry 4-3 Argentina. Well, everyone enjoy the World Cup final. I can't thank over 100 of you enough for jumping on board the bus. It's been a brilliant Sunday Blether with these 3 legends. Mark, get well soon, mate. We're looking forward to some Judgment Day action coming up maybe in the next 7 days. We're looking forward to that. Reegan, the voice of the Sunday Blether. Brilliant to have you with us. And Phil, as always, the man who steadies the ship, or steadies the bus in our case. Thank you for joining us as well. Enjoy the World Cup final and hope you all get the result you want. To everyone in the comments, it's been lively this morning. So I can't thank you all enough for jumping on. I know there's probably been some busy other pods out there today, but hey, we've done okay. And we will carry on doing so. We'll be back for the Monday Club tomorrow night when the sibling rivalry continues. Jonathan Boyce, have you recovered yet? We'll see you all soon. Cheers again.
Thanks, guys.
Comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.